guys, it's Margie, and today I'm doing a movie review of the 1995 film Something to Talk About. This film starred Julia Roberts, Dennis Quaid, Robert Duvall, Gina Rowlands, Kyra Sedgwick, Brett Cullen, Haley All, Moose Watson, Anne Strothfire, Jenny Randall, Terrence Currier, Rebecca Kuhn, Rhoda Griffiths, Lisa Roberts Gillen, Deborah Hobart, Amy Parrish, and Helen Baldwin. It was directed by Lasse Hallstrom, who's also directed Safe Haven, Dear John, Chocolat, The Cider House Rules, and What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Music was by Graham Prescott and Hans Zimmer has composed for everything, including Inception, The Dark Knight, Pearl Harbor, A League of Their Own, which I've done a previous review of, and Rain Man, and everything else in the universe that I don't have time to list off. Cinematography was by Sven Nykvist, I hope I said that right, who also did cinematography for Chaplin, Sleepless in Seattle, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and Mixed Nuts. Edited by Mia Goldman, who also edited Untamed Heart and My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Written by Callie Khoury, who also wrote Thelma and Louise. Produced by Anthea Silbert, who also produced Overboard. Goldie Hawn, yes, the Goldie Hawn, the actress you're thinking of, who also has acted in everything and produced Private Benjamin. Paul Weinstein, who is one of the Weinsteins, who's produced everything, including The Company Men, Blood Diamond, Analyze That, The Perfect Storm, Truman, and Bandits. Okay, guys, so the basic plot for this movie is Julia Roberts plays a young mother in her probably, early 30s, and she finds out that her husband is cheating on her. So it's kind of the story of how she handles that and how they deal with that, and her father is also, and her parents are also involved in this and that. They have a business deal with her husband, the one that cheated on her, and they run a horse business, and there's a lot of that in the plot. So, yeah. Watch the trailer. Okay, let's jump into performances on this one. Julia Roberts was the reason that I watched this movie because I love her, and I thought she did great. I don't think there was anything else she really could have done. Her cries make me so happy, which sounds terrible, but they are so good. So her cries were really good in this movie, as they always are, and I enjoyed it. I got a lot out of her performance because I don't think there was anything else she really could have done with it. To me, it wasn't one of her best performances because it wasn't one of her best roles, but that's just my opinion. So I thought she did great. Dennis Quaid did okay, but I don't think there was some scenes where I wish he'd done things a little differently, but I felt like he did okay. I felt like his performance was a little lackluster, but then the movie is supposed to be more about Julia than about him, so I appreciated that he wasn't trying to steal all of her scenes, you know what I mean? His performance was kind of meh for me. But the role was kind of meh for me. So, Robert Duvall had a good performance, I thought. Nothing that was outstanding, but he fulfilled the role well and just did his job. I mean, it wasn't yay, but it was okay. Same thing with Gina Rowlands. I felt like they completed the role and did well, but it's certainly not either of them, their best performances, and they didn't just shine, you know what I mean? Kyra Sedgwick, again, same thing. She thought she acted it well, but again, this performance is not outstanding. It's good. It's not great. Brett Cullen actually is the other person, though, in this movie that I thought did have a really good performance. I really liked his performance a lot. Just because I felt like he really committed. His character was great, for one thing, which I think was some of the problem with the other actors, was that their characters were just not that good, so they didn't have a whole lot of room to go anywhere, but I thought Brett Cullen did great, and he and Julia had really good chemistry. And in my opinion, Julia and Dennis Quaid did not have the best of chemistry, which contributed to why this isn't that, neither of them had such great, this isn't either of their best roles. Okay, I'm just like trying to say, The supporting cast for this, honestly, was just not that good, in my personal opinion, because, I don't know, I just didn't really think they did well. I mean, I don't know if it was the actors or the writing for them, or they just seemed kind of like useless. I don't know. That's really bad. Oh my god, I didn't just say that. They did okay. Like, I think they did everything the director wanted them to, but none of their performances really stood out. They all just kind of blend in together, and they didn't really do anything to like build up the other main actors, in my opinion. So the supporting cast for me was kind of weak, to be perfectly honest, but that's just my opinion. Let's talk about the directing. I thought the directing for this was okay. It wasn't outstanding, but it wasn't bad. I thought the film had a pretty good direction, and I thought that it was good that the director keeps you in constant suspense. I just can't talk today, sorry. Of whether or not Julia and Dennis Quaid's characters will get back together or not. That's like an ongoing thing throughout the movie, so I like that. But it did get a little draggy for me, the pacing. So I wish that would have, picked up more. I know the film is supposed to be not a comedy because it's about infidelity, which is not funny, but I do wish that the more comedic moments had been like more comedic. I feel like the film could have used a little more comedic relief. The music for this was okay. I wouldn't have put music with some of the scenes that Hans Zimmer did, to be perfectly honest. The score is appropriate for the film. It fits well. It does, but it's not one of my favorites. It's not one I would listen to again, and there was a couple scenes where I was like, you're really going to put music here? Like, I don't know. But then again, he was working with someone else, so I'm not, like, necessarily blaming either. I don't know. It just didn't wow me. The cinematography for this, I did like the cinematography a lot. I thought the colors were great. I thought the lighting was great. And it fit the film really well. Again, I wish in the lighter moments, though, you can make lighter moments seem lighter with brighter colors. And I wish that the cinematographer, like, in the scenes that were supposed to be a little funnier, had, like, been more happy in his color choices as far as, like, the tone of the lighting. Like, I wish the lighting had been, like, brighter when you're supposed to have a comedic moment, whereas it just kind of seemed to stay the same throughout the whole film, for me, but I thought he did well. I really did. The editing for this was okay. To me, it kind of dragged a little bit, about 3/4 of the way through, but, you're close to the end, so it's like, okay, I'll stick in with you. It was just, I thought the pacing was good, and I thought the editing for this was fine. The writing for this, I thought was okay. I thought the writing for this was okay. I didn't love how they portrayed some of the characters, because honestly, for me personally, other than Julia, there wasn't a single character, Julia and Brett. There wasn't a single character that I really liked, to be perfectly honest. Like, I'm talking about the characters. They're just so self-focused, and, like, even the little girl is just so, like, self-absorbed, and you're like, really? I don't know, which the film's not about her, but the characters for me were not lovable at all in this movie, except for Julia and Brett, and even their characters were kind of like, I don't really know if I love them or not, so I mean, that's just my honest opinion. I didn't love the characters in this movie, but the writing on the whole, I guess, was okay. Other than her ridiculously, in my opinion, overusage of, like, outbursts, which she had, like, so many, like, things would escalate so quickly in this movie. Like, we'd just be sitting there having a regular conversation, and then the next thing you know, it's like a screaming match with all these 4-letter words, and you're just like, really? Like, that happened so fast? And the use of 4-letter words in this movie, I'm not even, like, talking Parents Guide, I'm talking about, like, in this film, seemed ridiculously excessive, considering the type of conversations that they're having. Like, basically, to me, in her way of, like, making the scene feel harsh was to put a bunch of four-letter words in it. You can do that so much better without doing that, because then it's subtle and then the actors get to make the scene feel like tension and hatred without having to use words, which really lets them shine. So that's directing too, I think, but that's just my personal opinion. I didn't really care for that. Not even talking Parents Guide. While we are talking about the Parents Guide, let's get into that a little bit, guys. The language for this film is terrible. Let's be honest. Okay, it's really, compared to a lot of movies, it's really not that bad. However, compared to your typical 90s romantic film, it's like terrible. Like, this is one of the most like language uses like of films for like the 90s romantic film that I've ever seen. It's so prevalent. It's certainly not one of the most used language films from the 90s, because there are plenty of those, but most of them are like dramas, Schindler's List or Goodfellas, or, you know, they're that type of movie, not this type of movie. It's really prevalent. Let's just talk about it. We've got 4 uses of F, 11 uses of the S word, 6 uses of the B word, 20 uses of GD, 4 uses of D, 4 uses of A, 12 uses of H, and 11 religious exclamations. And by that, I mean like, oh my God, Jesus Christ, like that type of thing. Sexual content, there are 4 sexual references. Julia is seen in only in like a bra, pretty much from the waist up, and then, well, she's got like a shirt on, but it's open. And then there's a lot of talk of infidelity in this movie, like whose husband's banging who, and, you know, that type of thing, because it's about infidelity. So that's expected. Drug and alcohol, there's wine drinking and like hard liquor drinking, but there's not really any drunkenness. Violence and gore, I don't think there was any. I can't think of any. Let's talk special notes before I wrap this one up. The characters' chemistry for the main characters, to me, was lacking, except for Julia and Brett. I kind of talked about that in the performances, but I don't think Julia and Dennis had very good chemistry, to be perfectly honest. I don't think that Robert Duvall and Gina Rowlands had very good chemistry at all. Gina Rowlands as Julia Roberts' mother, to me, was not believable. They didn't have good chemistry. I thought Kyra Sedgwick and Julia Roberts had really good chemistry as sisters. But other than that, the cast chemistry, to me, the whole like blending of all the actors in this movie was just not there, to be perfectly honest. And that's really important, that your cast is so unified and just tight, especially when it's like a family. They're all a family like this. You know, they should be really, you know, just tight-knit, and they weren't at all. They did, to me, the cast did not have good chemistry, and they just kind of, some of it was just kind of awkward. They're just kind of awkward around each other. And I thought, well, I don't know why this is. I don't know if there was like dispute on the set, or I don't know. But that should have been fixed. And if it couldn't have been fixed, then somebody should have been replaced. Because I just didn't think they had good chemistry. This movie did not really stick out to me at all. It was just kind of average. But I do feel like it took a real look at infidelity, which I appreciated. So I felt like, you know, there was some real issues, and I really sympathized with Julia's character, because she's, half of her is like, I can never trust this person again, I will never put myself in this situation again, and the other half of her is like, I should be merciful and give him a second chance, because we really did love each other at one time, and we have a child. So I felt like that the conflict of those two things was extremely well done by this writer, but the characters are just, and the cast chemistry is just, so that kind of weakened the movie on the whole for me. I'm giving this film 3 stars out of 5, guys, just because nothing honestly really was like, that's so awesome. Like, one thing, you know, there was like only like 1 or 2 things that were done really well. Would I watch this again? No, I would not, but I think it was worth a one-time watch, especially since I'm trying to watch all of Julia Roberts' films. So I saw her name and I was like, okay, I will watch that, because I'm really trying to watch all of them and hopefully review all of them. So if you don't like Julia Roberts and you like my reviews, I'm really sorry. Okay, guys, thanks so much for watching my review of the 1995 film, Something to Talk About. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next review.